Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Lord of the universe. May peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, and all Muslims who are steadfast until the end of time. Islam is one of the fastest growing religions in Canada. However, its presence in this country is not new. The history of the presence of Muslims in Canada has lasted for more than a century, going through various social, political, and cultural challenges. The presence of Muslims in Canada began in the late 19th century. It was recorded in the 1871 census that there was a small Muslim population living in Canada, although the number was no more than a few dozen people. The majority of early Muslims were immigrants from the Middle East, especially Syria and Lebanon, which were then part of the Ottoman Empire. They came not as asylum seekers, but as traders and workers seeking to build a new life in the New World. This immigration was slow because at that time, Canada's immigration policy was very selective and dominated by a preference for European immigrants. One of the important milestones in the development of Islam in Canada was the construction of the first mosque in Canada, which was also the first mosque in North America, the Al-Rashid Mosque in Edmonton, Alberta. The mosque was built in 1938 by a small Muslim community of 20 to 30 families, the majority of whom were from Lebanon. The mosque became a center of religious activities, as well as a symbol of the existence of Muslims in Canada. Its construction was even supported by people of various faiths, including the mayor and local government officials, which showed the inclusive attitude of the local community at that time. A major change occurred in the 1960s. In 1967, Canada introduced a point system for immigration that was based more on an individual's skills and qualifications than on race or national origin. This policy opened the door wide for immigrants from Muslim-majority countries such as Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Egypt, Iran, and Indonesia. The number of Muslims in Canada increased sharply, especially in large cities such as Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. By 1971, the Muslim community had reached thousands of people. They began establishing religious organizations, cultural centers, Islamic schools, and mosques in various provinces. Like other minority communities, Muslims in Canada also faced challenges. The attacks of September 11, 2001 were a turning point that exposed the Muslim community to great social pressure and stigma. Incidents of discrimination, including increased surveillance of the Muslim community and rising Islamophobia, have posed challenges. However, the Muslim community has responded by strengthening interfaith dialogue, involvement in local politics, and increasing contributions to education, business, and social services. As of the 2021 census, Muslims constituted about 4.9% of Canada's population, making it the second largest religion after Christianity. The Muslim community in Canada is extremely diverse, spanning a wide range of ethnic backgrounds, languages, and sects. Today, Muslims are active in various walks of life. There are Muslim parliamentarians, doctors, academics, activists, artists, and successful businessmen. Islamophobia remains a challenge, but public awareness of pluralism and tolerance is also growing. The history of Islam in Canada is not just a story of immigration, but also a story of struggle, contribution, and integration. Muslims in Canada have proven that they are not just a minority, but an integral part of a multicultural society that upholds human rights, justice, and diversity. The future of Islam in Canada looks bright, as a new generation of Muslims are growing up as active citizens, contributing to shaping the future of this country without having to abandon their Islamic identity. Canadian Muslims are not just passive members of the social order, but also active contributors in the fields of education and social services. Many Islamic schools have been established in major cities such as Toronto, Calgary, and Ottawa. These schools combine the Canadian national curriculum with religious education, creating a generation that is academically strong and has a strong religious identity. Universities in Canada are also seeing an increase in Muslim student participation, both domestic and international. On major campuses, such as the University of Toronto, McGill, and UBC, Muslim student organizations play a significant role in building cross-cultural awareness and facilitating interfaith dialogue. Many Muslim-run charities and social organizations are also active in providing assistance to the wider community, not just Muslims. Examples include Islamic Relief Canada, the National Zakat Foundation, and various local initiatives working in the areas of food, housing, and refugee relief. Canada is known as a country that celebrates multiculturalism, and Muslims have enriched that cultural spectrum. Islamic festivals such as Ramadan Bazaar, Eid Fest, and Islamic Heritage Month are now annual events in many major cities. Municipalities such as Toronto and Ottawa have even officially recognized October as Islamic Heritage Month. Muslim culture in Canada reflects the diversity of its communities. From Arabic calligraphy, Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African cuisine, to internationally recognized works of Canadian Muslim literature, all add color to Canada's cultural landscape. These tragedies have sparked a wave of national solidarity, both from fellow Canadians and from the government. The Muslim community has responded with peaceful approaches, interfaith dialogue, and public awareness campaigns. The Canadian government has also responded more actively, including appointing a special envoy to combat Islamophobia and funding educational projects on Islam and tolerance. The Muslim community in Canada continues to grow in numbers, influence, and quality of contributions. Second and third generation Canadian Muslims are growing with a dual identity, as Muslims and as Canadians. They are increasingly active in politics, media, technology, and the arts. Challenges remain: maintaining Islamic values in a highly secular society, countering media stereotypes, and advocating for social justice. However, there is great optimism that Islam will continue to play a positive role in shaping a more just, inclusive, and diverse Canada. The history of Islam in Canada is not just a story of immigrants and minorities. It is a story of people seeking a place to live in peace, build a future, and provide meaning for the next generation. From a small mosque in Edmonton to Muslim voices in the Ottawa Parliament, the footprint of Islam in Canada is part of a national narrative, a narrative of courage, hope, and civilization. Events such as Open Mosque Days, Ramadan Iftar with the community, and interfaith peace walks have become important bridges to reduce prejudice, foster interfaith understanding, and create solidarity in the face of global issues such as climate change, refugees, and social injustice. This dialogue is also important in the context of a pluralistic Canada, where interfaith collaboration strengthens social cohesion and creates safe spaces for religious minorities. Muslim women in Canada are playing an increasingly prominent role, not only in religious activities, but also in politics, academia, law, health, and social activism. Debates about the hijab and women's rights in Islam are frequent in the public sphere. However, many Canadian Muslim women insist that their choice to wear the hijab is an expression of freedom, not oppression, and they reject labels that simplify the complexity of their identities. Canada, as a country based on the principles of multiculturalism, religious freedom, and human rights, has created a relatively safe and inclusive space for Muslims to practice their religion without losing their identity as citizens. In fact, many Muslims feel that Islamic values, such as justice, compassion, and social responsibility, align with Canadian values.